We in fact do get a lot of calls sometimes from farmers. If a pack doesn't have this, our label or our technology on it, sometimes the farmers do call us and say, hey, should we buy this or not? Right? And farmers, and every time a fake product is found, there is an escalation made all the way back to the director of the agri input companies, right? So we
Wow.
do get emails sometimes saying a farmer is scanning this and he's seeing that the product is being called a duplicate.
Agriculture input space, one of the worst areas which is affected by counterfeiting. Brands, government, farmer, consumer, everyone is terribly impacted just to serve one counterfeiter trying to make a quick buck. And let's move on to addressing this challenge. So first, let's start with understanding technologies which have been implemented by the government, by brands, which you guys have built to help solve this problem.
Government has introduced regulation mandating some kind of a QR code or a 2D code to be affixed on each and every pack. And that 2D code should carry some elements, some information about the product itself, so that anybody can verify at any point of time. But is it effective? I doubt so. Because what is being used is a simple 2D code, QR code. And if you use a smartphone, I can basically use the phone, scan the code, get the details which are embedded in the code, create another code just like that, and reprint it, right? So
Yeah.
it may solve the problem to some extent, but I don't think it's a holy grail. We need something much more effective, which basically prevents even a single copy or a single unit of a pesticide to be prevent that from being counterfeited. Yeah.
So now let's talk about. So I think this is something which you guys we've tried to solve at Aquis, right?
Absolutely.
So can you educate a little bit on what was the thought process behind it and how you've designed the system for this industry?
So like I mentioned, right, 2D codes, QR codes, unique codes will help you solve the problem to some extent. But if I replicate it, I can basically replicate it to some extent, and then be able to at least sell 2 or 3 units of that product, which makes it difficult still. But then our vision was to even prevent a single unit of a product from being replicated or duplicated.
So guys, to give you some context, a counterfeiter is like a hacker who's operating in a software space. A counterfeiter is operating in the real world, in the manufacturing or these areas. And when he says they'll be able to replicate a simple 2D code, what he's referring to is something you can do yourself. Scan a QR code, copy the QR code data which comes on your smartphone, paste it into any QR code generator. You will get another QR code which will read the same output.
Correct.
So that's what he's referring to. So now, so the vision at Aquis was even this should not be possible.
Absolutely, right. Even preventing a single unit from being replicated is what what drives us. So, we've been having this vision vision of ensuring that even a single product cannot be replicated. So we built something called as a non-clonable code. So which means even a single code or a single label cannot be copied. And if it is, it can be identified. And that's a vision which drives us. And we also understand that it's a cat and mouse game. So we might build something now which could later be broken by a counterfeiter.
Right.
Like you rightly said, they are hackers, right? It's a cat and mouse game, just like a virus, antivirus. You build an antivirus program, a new virus might come in. So we do keep innovating. We understand that just by having one solution is not going to work. We need to build on top of our solutions. We need to keep improving the solutions that we have, so that we are always a step ahead of counterfeiters, always a step ahead of what they think and how they think. So we use the latest technology. We use the latest printing technology. We use the latest encoding technology, latest AI, ML technologies. We also use sometimes blockchain. We use computer vision. So we use a combination of all that is available to us in ensuring that we're able to give a solution that is foolproof against counterfeiting completely, and not just using codes which could be replicated, or using a method which might prevent counterfeiting at a large scale, but at least might still allow counterfeiting to happen at a smaller scale. So we basically want to ensure that even that is completely curbed.
You've worked with some brands, of course.
Yes.
And what kind of implementation you've done for them in protecting them?
So we've done multiple implementations. We've helped them, of course, use our anti-counterfeiting technologies, what I'm talking about, preventing, counterfeits. We help them also satisfy or, manage the government regulations, ensure that they are able to completely conform to the regulations. We also help them build systems, or rather use our systems to trace the product to their supply chain so that tomorrow if a product comes back or if it's tampered with, they know exactly the source of it. We also help them manage their warehouse track and trace so that when a product moves through a warehouse, when it comes in and when it goes out, we also help them track that as well. Of course, automate a lot of that factories in order to enable track and trace and authentication is what we do.
When you say automate the factories, can you give me I didn't understand.
Okay, great. When I say automation, I don't mean complete automation of the factory. What I meant was basically providing them systems which basically make it easy for them to enable a track and trace system on the products. So think of it this way: when a product gets made, there are various levels of the products. So we have a basic level, the first unit of packaging, which is called a primary. There's a secondary unit of packaging, which is basically a bigger box, a shipper box, which then go into a pallet. Right. So all of that is something which was currently being manually done.
Oh, okay.
So wherein they were pasting a label on the primary unit, and then they were doing something on the secondary, and then they were doing something on the tertiary, and these three were also not mapped. If I got hold of the tertiary packaging of the pallet, I would not know what exactly is inside that, all the contents, and I would not, if I got hold of the secondary unit, I'll not know exactly what is inside that. So what we've done is we built a system which basically right from your primary unit when it's made, and then now when it gets packed into the secondary, we also not just create unique identifiers which for each of these levels, but also create mapping between them. We also marry them to each other. So when any level is verified or scanned or checked, we'll not just get to know the description of that particular level, but also get to know at the lower level what is the contents. If I'm scanning a pallet, I'll get to know about the shipper boxes or the bigger boxes. If I'm scanning the shipper box, I'll get to know about the primary units. So I'll get a lot of details about everything, right? And this is what is further used for track and trace. When the product now moves to the supply chain, I can track at any level how the product is moving and where it's going to. And now if it comes back to me as well as a sales return, I can also track that. So it kind of helps them understand how the product is moving, where it's moving, and how it's moving as well.
And the sales return part you mentioned, but I'm assuming also that if a brand has a comprehensive dealer and distributor network, it helps you map these things to those specific people also.
Absolutely. So what we also done is in our product, we also have systems in place which basically allow a certain product only move through a certain chain. So if a distributor is responsible for a certain product, only he'll be allowed to carry that product, and our software can basically enable that, which also means pilferage, which happens quite commonly.
Yeah.
Where a product from Maharashtra, which is only to be sold in Maharashtra, ends up being, sold in Karnataka as well.
Because of the rate. So guys, in the distributor dealer network, this is called as undercutting.
Yeah. It's quite common, right?
Yeah,
so,
it's quite common.
That also gets prevented through the system.
So in a way, you're not just eliminating the pilferage, but the dealers and distributors who are doing genuine business, you're helping them protect their own sales as well, right?
Absolutely.
So it's not just the brand, but the dealer and distributor in specific regions, if they face a lot of pilferage, if they face a lot of undercutting and all, you can actually prevent that with your system.
So think of it this way, if I have to tell you in a nutshell, who was honest, who was doing the business the right way, stands to benefit a lot from, such systems. And obviously, people who are not being honest tends to lose as well.
Yeah.
So the idea of anybody using a system like this is ensuring that, like you rightly mentioned, if I'm an honest distributor and I'm being undercut by somebody else, then obviously it helps me ensure that doesn't happen anymore.
It does ruin the relation of an honest distributor with the brand when this happens.
Absolutely. And it's not easy for a brand to confront the distributor which is actually undercutting as well. So this is, you're getting the work done without actually even having to confront them, because by using a system, you're kind of sending a signal that you're not going to tolerate this, but then you don't need to confront them or don't need to actually sit across a table and discuss with them, right? You're kind of bringing in a system to prevent them from, ground zero itself. Yeah.
So let's move on to the next question. You spoke about, how technology has helped you, helped the brands you work with also, prevent a lot of counterfeiting, even in this space. I have a question, and I wonder if brands ask you this when you go talk to them. So for all the brand managers and brand protection heads out there, I'm doing this for you. So the question is, boss, my consumer is a farmer. वो क्या verify करेगा?
Yeah.
उसको थोड़ी पता चलेगा ये सब.
True.
Right. So, I mean, how have you empowered the farmer, and how do you answer this or address this? The assumption that, the farmer is not smart enough to figure out these codes and all that.
So that's a very common question that we get asked, not just when we are selling to agriculture, agri-input companies, but, other industries as well. The problem is, even though there may be some element of truth to this, the problem is a lot of us underestimate, the farmers or, blue-collar workers, right? A lot of things have changed. The advent of smartphones, data connectivity is quite prevalent across India right now, or globally itself, right?
Thank you, Ambani ji.
Yeah, definitely. I think Jio definitely has brought a lot of change in that. So while you sit in armchairs and wonder that whether farmers actually would be able to use technology, you'll be surprised. So we've seen a lot of our customers, their customers are consumers, are farmers. We've seen a good usage of our technology. Plus,
can you share some numbers, some percentage of all the packages sold, how many end up getting verified and all?
So close to, there are two components here. If you do add an incentive program to it, like, if you do give some incentives on top of verifications, like now you're verifying my product, I'll also share some cashback or rewards to you, which probably will end up in your UPI wallet or a bank wallet. We've seen close to 80 to 90% verifications happen.
Wow.
And if you don't give that incentive, obviously it's on a lower side. But having said that, farmers are educated these days, and having seen this happen for the last few years, they tend to verify. We, in fact, do get a lot of calls sometimes from farmers. If a pack doesn't have this, our label or our technology on it, sometimes the farmers do call us and say, hey, should we buy this or not? Right? And farmers, and every time a fake product is found, there is an escalation made all the way back to the director of the agri-input companies, right? So we do get emails sometimes saying a farmer is scanning this and he's seeing that the product is being called a duplicate. So,
right. Oh wait, so I forgot to ask this completely. Sorry to divert here, but when someone scans and there's a duplicate, so what do you typically do? Like, what do you tell the brand, and what all information do we give them?
So one, of course, the consumer gets to know.
It's a fake product.
It's a fake product.
Right.
And I want to tie into your previous question as well. Right? We've also done is we've added in multiple languages, especially across India. You see, various languages are used. So to be able to make it easy for a farmer to understand what's happening, it's in a different language. It's in their native language as well. So one, they get to know it's a fake product. Secondly, there's also information available on how they can reach out to the brand and take the necessary steps. And obviously, they'll be able to return the product, etc., and get full refund for it. So that's something which a brand has made available for the consumer. So that's what happens. The brand is now empowering the consumer as well in taking the rightful steps. So now the consumer also feels empowered, say, okay, not just get to know it's a fake product,
I'll get an incentive also. It ties into loyalty.
Yeah, it ties into loyalty, as well, because now you're verifying, you're also giving that information back to the brand. Now, brand also stands to benefit because they can also now do a deep dive and understand what the source of these fake products are. Right. Because once a fake product is discovered, it makes it easy for them to also go back and understand where the source is. So it does, really help the brand when a farmer is able to report the fake product.
And when that happens, you give them information of what all, like what information?
What we give is a dashboard which a brand has complete control over. So they get all the information that is needed. Right? Who the farmer was, which location it was, if the farmer has shared the location, and the product itself which was counterfeited. So
and if they've taken track and trace which retailer.
So which retailer it
probably
probably was as well, like rather where the genuine product was to be sold through, but now a fake product is being purchased. So you can also tie in and understand whether the fake product was coming from the same retailer. So now that maybe there's something wrong happening at the retailer end as well. So
there's an important question here. Do you do this on Acquis app, or does the brand have their own app? How does that work?
So, the distribution model for us is multifold. You can either get Acquis app, or you can have a brand app wherein we provide our library to the brand, which they can integrate in their app. Or we could also, provide a white label app as well, right? So there are multiple ways in which the distribution of the technology happens.
And you guys have taken care of all the financial compliance for giving cashbacks and all of that as well.
Yeah. So in terms of financial compliances, we're just a platform. The cashback goes from the brand to the consumer.
Right.
So we're just enabling that. So that's how it is. Yeah.